FastCast movies. Wonder Woman spoiler talk. Alright, so it's the morning after. Am I still as happy with the movie as I was last night? Yes, I am. Complete spoilers. I'm going to talk about everything. Starting with, as I mentioned in the non-spoiler one, since I don't really know the Wonder Woman lore, I wasn't really sure where they were going with the main villain. You know, the whole time that she's deciding that she needs to leave and all this other stuff, she's basically saying that she's trying to go after the literal god of war, Ares. And in her mind, Ares is the German general guy. And she's completely convinced that when she kills him, war will immediately end. All war. What's interesting is that she's both wrong and right. There's no part of me that expected when she stabbed that guy through the heart that all of a sudden all war was going to end. But not for the reasons that it turned out being the truth, which is that he wasn't Ares. That's what I thought was going to happen. I was like, he wasn't Ares and she was going to realize something. But it turns out there actually wasn't Ares. It was just the guy that we thought was the good guy, Remus Lupin. Which gives us, you know, the sort of third act twist, but also the big third act action finale, which I thought was pretty solid. I know I've seen some people complaining that it gets a little CGI heavy. As a result of what I've been talking about here, I definitely had a not quite clear picture. Like, I still don't really know how goofy DC is. And maybe this is just because I don't go in knowing the lore, but with Marvel, depending on which movie it is, I kind of have a good idea. Like, Ant-Man is probably not going to have some weird mystical thing. Doctor Strange is magic, like legit magic. With DC, I'm never sure. I'm like, okay, so yeah, she's an Amazon and they're on an island, but does that mean that the Greek gods literally exist? I wasn't sure, but the answer is yes. I really do think that they nailed the relationship between the two leads. You know, this idea that as a result of him and her relationship with him, she learns what she's fighting for. Like, and she starts the movie thinking that she's fighting for the fight. You know, like, I must learn to fight because that's what my purpose is. And by the end, at least my take on it, is that she learns that the only reason to fight is to help preserve love. I thought it was a well-learned lesson. I mean, I think that is a pretty typical trope of, like, how can you truly fight unless you have something worth fighting for? Zero hot takes that I've been reading yet about this movie. Has anybody commented on the costume? Which I think is great. I mean, look, I had the thought during the movie that the costume is a bit unrealistic, you know, in terms of, like, being armor. But it kind of plays out as, look, they live on a hot tropical island. She would not be wearing anything head to toe. And it clearly is traditional. Like, she doesn't have, like, a making of the costume montage, because this is the costume that she takes with her when she leaves the island. But it's also not a bikini. I dig the fact that people aren't commenting on it, because I think if there's one thing that this movie really does great, is that she is both a superhero and a woman, and those things don't have to be mutually exclusive. You know, it could have been, we're going to take a typical male superhero and change the genitalia, and now we have a female superhero, but that's not what's happening here. You know, her being willing to accept her femininity and willing to express her femininity, there's nothing wrong with that. It's also interesting that between her and the dude, they basically tell the Jesus story, but then she doesn't have to be the one who sacrifices herself. I mean, there's tons of Jesus imagery at the end. Oh, and I did see someone commenting about how, like, this movie feels very much like a spiritual successor to the original Superman, to the point where there's even, like, shot homages and direct parallels, and I thought that that was very true. I couldn't quite put my finger on it when I was watching it, but that is absolutely the case. And I did just read this morning that it made about $250 million worldwide. So that's Wonder Woman, the first DC movie worth watching. FastCast Movies. See ya. Hey, thanks for watching the FastCast. If you like what I do here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mr. J Handle. And remember to check back, because I do this a couple times a week. Thanks a lot, everybody. FastCast.